Well, thank y'all for being here. First, I can tell you that we welcome you to my district. It's nice to have you, and we need the business, so I appreciate you being here. You know, you are so important to our economy, and it's hurting right now. All the tariffs and the insults and the uncertainty has had an impact on tourism, and the numbers are down, and so that makes a big difference. And you know, in Las Vegas, we believe that the holiday starts the minute you leave your house. So when people get on a plane, they want to know that they're going to arrive safely and efficiently, and that's all because of what you do behind the scenes. So thank you very much for that. And every weekend when I get on a plane in Washington to fly back and forth here to Las Vegas, I personally thank you for being there, checking all the security, the safety, being sure that everything is running the way it should. So it's a pleasure to always work with you. And I have seen you testify. Thank you. You gave me a few questions to throw out there that were just softballs, so you could have the right answer. But aside from that, it's all good. So yeah, that's right. So I do enjoy being on that committee and on the Aviation Subcommittee. You know, here in Las Vegas, we don't make much except maybe dreams come true. So we have to import everything else, and that's flowers or lobsters or people. And so getting them here in a way that works for the economy and works for them makes a big difference. So again, thank you for all that you do, and thank you for helping us to do a good FAA reauthorization. It was bipartisan. We worked together. It was member-driven, so we were able to offer amendments, which you can't do in some committees, to get things included in the bill that were important. Some of my provisions got in there with your help. Some for better training, more hiring, reassessing the kind of the workforce management plan. Hopefully all of that will now be put in place. You know, we passed it, and now we've got to be sure that it's implemented. And we've got to be sure that Secretary Duffy, the devil's in the details. And so he's playing to the headlines now with all the air traffic controllers, but let's be sure that we're really doing what we need to do, and that we're doing things that, not just the kind of glamour shots, but the things behind the scenes that y'all are so engaged in, and that's what's important. Okay, thank you. I'm so far away from my notes here that I can't quite, I'll be sure I include everything. No, you know, it's now, in addition to being sure that those things are implemented, this committee will, I'm sure, be focused again on some aviation provisions. The big emphasis is going to be on the land surface transportation, whether it's highways or railroads, but we've always have to keep an eye on aviation safety so we can be at the front of the line like we always have been internationally to keep our airways safe. You know, so many people fly here into Las Vegas, over 50 million a year. How many? 29 million miles of airspace over the U.S. that you're responsible for, 2.9 million passengers. All those are very compelling numbers, and the people who want to be sure that they're going to get where they're headed. In the future, some of the things that I think we'll be looking at as we continue to address aviation, and we'll have a new subcommittee chair, Andre Carson this time, but I think he'll be pretty good to work with. Some of the things are like new technology. I mean, y'all know this much better than I do, how the technology changes so quickly. We've got to be sure that we stay on top of that or ahead of that so that we have that technology. And as the technology for the airplanes changes, you've got to have what you need to do your job too. We're seeing more movement to drones, to sustainable fuels. You have to have the infrastructure to support all that, and that's where y'all come in. So you'll have to help me as that moves forward too, to be sure that we do the right things. In addition to the technology, the workforce, as I mentioned, for air traffic controllers is just as important in your professions too, to be sure that you have that next class coming through that's trained to do what you all do, so we can keep that going. A big issue continues to be airlines that are serviced abroad, to be sure that their standards meet our standards and they don't undercut things just for the lower prices, lower costs for the airlines, and so that will always kind of be an issue. And finally, just to say what organized labor is facing in general, not just in terms of your profession and air safety, but all public employees. I'm very proud to be on all the labor bills. Y'all are the oldest union in this area, so you've been doing this a long time. But you're under attack, as you know. And public employees are usually the low-hanging fruit. They're the first ones to seem to be cut when they want to make cutbacks to the budget in general. And this administration is coming after you, whether it's firing the person on the Labor Relations Board so they can't have a quorum, or whether it's not allowing unionization of public employees, or even just the DOGE people wanting to cut back or offer buyouts just to get rid of people to save money. All of those things I think we'll see continue, so we're going to have to stand strong against that. I'm a supporter of the PRO Act. I'm a member of the Labor Caucus. I proudly say I have a 100% voting record with Labor, so we'll fight on that front generally. So we'll do the aviation specifically, but we'll fight for those good union rights in general. And you said, you quoted me saying that you can always count on me, and you can, and I appreciate your having my back as well. But like I said, you are right here in the heart of my district, and I know you got a lot of important meetings and things to deal with, but it is Las Vegas, so you have to have a little fun. And so whether you ride the biggest roller coaster in the world, or well, you know, whether you look for Elvis because he has not left the building here in Las Vegas, or even if you just lose a few nickels in the slot machine, you know, you can go home and tell people not that you lost at gambling, but that you contributed to the education of Nevada's children. So thank you very much for being here. Count on me.
Well, first of all, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I used to work on the House Aviation Subcommittee when you first were elected in 2009, and you have been just a wonderful supporter of ours, so thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Most of the past members continue to work, even during a government shutdown.
Yeah, right.
With only 21 voting days left before the end of the fiscal year, do you think we're more likely to see a continuing resolution or a shutdown?
You know, I hate to make any kind of prognostication because there's so much chaos, and this administration, things change from one minute to the next, not just one day to the next. But you're right, there's not very much time left, and of all the different appropriations bills, only a handful have been passed, and then they've got to be, you know, the House and Senate have to agree before we can even send them on. So I don't think that's going to happen. Now, come the end of September, will we shut it down, or will they just do a continuing resolution? You know, last time, Schumer got into a lot of grief for voting to do the long-term continuing resolution to kind of save the president's ass is what it amounted to. But, you know, the Democrats tend to be the adults in the room and think we need to do the right thing, but there's not much goodwill there to bail them out after they've not been willing to compromise on any kind of appropriations or bills that we have tried to look at. And if you take into account the big, bad, beautiful BS bill, you know that. You see how that just runs the gamut from getting rid of health insurance and food stamps and renewable energy and education, you name it, if it's bad, it's in there. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's shut down. Now, if it does shut down, I don't think it'll be for a long period of time, because it doesn't do anybody any good to shut down. It's kind of a pox on both your houses. Both parties get blamed, and they'll try to wrap it up. And you know, those blowhards like, what's his name from Texas, Chip Roy, you know, they say, oh, I hate it, I don't like it, I'm not going to vote for it, it's bad. Then they get the phone call from the White House, and they go right down there and cave. So that's what will happen. So I think it will pass. Now, y'all are on the front lines. You are those critical services, so you go to work regardless of all that's going on. You still do your job to keep us safe. Now, in the past, when that has happened and those checks don't come, which is problem enough, but there's been retroactive pay. So we can only hope that this administration or this majority in Congress would still agree to that retroactive pay if they do shut down, with the exception of the essential services like you all are. But it's going to be hard to come with a compromise. And remember this too, if they do a continuing resolution, it won't be a continuing, can I have a swig of that water? It won't be a continuation of what we appropriated last time. It'll be a continuation of how it stands now after all those drawbacks and rescissions and cuts that have been made. So we won't be continuing really the status quo. We'll be continuing what's happened since that budget and those appropriations were made.
Thank you so much for helping to pass the FAA reauthorization bill. Your work on the Aviation Subcommittee is so important, and there were a lot of good things that we got for our members in that bill. I was curious, looking ahead, what you see as the top priorities for modernizing and improving aviation safety in the coming years.
Well, kind of like I said, it's going to be technology. I think we've got to be sure we stay ahead of it, meeting the needs for the new aviation airplanes and drones and, the lifts and the taxis that, land like this that we have to have the infrastructure for. So you will have to tell us what you need to monitor all that and keep all that safe and check all those security provisions. So that'll be a challenge. And again, the workforce, every industry that I talk to, whether it's hospitals or aviation or, teachers, everybody talks about the need for workforce development. Just don't have enough people who are educated or experienced or skilled to go into some of these fields. And you have a very high-tech field. It should be very exciting for young people to want to go into it, but figuring out the best way to recruit them and to bring them into the profession and train them so that they can fill some of those gaps, I think will be something that's a big discussion.
I really appreciate you mentioning bringing in advice from the workers. I really think that's good.
Oh, I do, yeah.
How important do you think it is for frontline technicians and inspectors in policy discussions about aviation modernization and safety?
Oh, I think it's critical. Most members of Congress are generalists. I don't know what you do. I can appreciate it. I can enjoy the benefits of it, but I have to count on people like your president and your members to tell us what you really need and what makes it better. You don't want to inadvertently do something that makes it worse. So I think having y'all's input makes a big difference. I'm a professor, so I believe in doing your homework, and so any good information you give me, I'm going to study it before I go down there and ask a question or vote on something if I don't know how it's going to work. And the best way for me to know how it works is to ask the people on the front lines who do it every day.
Congresswoman, thank you.
Oh, I'm getting the hook.
You know, if you got more, I'm happy to let you stay right there.
That's okay. Y'all have a lot of business to attend to, but again, thank you. I'm glad to see you. Pass has always been a friend, and so you can find us in Washington. We're in the Rayburn building, and outside our door we have a cardboard cutout of Elvis, so it's easy to spot. So come by and say hello. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We hope you